Hello. Welcome back to Mr. Futrell's geometry class. This time we will discuss Chapter 1.2, Points, Lines, and Planes, pages 10 through 16 in your textbook. After this lesson, you should understand and use the basic undefined and defined terms of geometry, and sketch and describe intersections of various basic figures. Remember, when you hear this sound, it is a definition that is important. As you know, a definition uses known words to describe a new word. However, in geometry, some words, such as point, line, and plane, are not formally defined, and are called undefined terms. Although these terms are undefined, it is important that we have an agreement about their meaning, so we give them informal definitions. A point has zero dimension and is usually represented by a dot. The fact that it has no dimension is important, because a point can be used to represent something very large, like the location of a city, planet, or star, or something extremely small, like a molecule, atom, or electron. A line extends in one dimension. It is usually represented by a straight line with two arrows at both ends. The arrows mean that the line continues in those directions. In high school geometry, all lines are straight. A plane extends in two dimensions. It is usually represented by a shape that looks like a tabletop or wall. Even though the drawing of the plane has edges, you have to imagine that it extends without end. Look at page 10 in the textbook to see how points, lines, and planes are drawn in geometry. Another concept that is undefined, but still must be understood, is the idea that a point lies on a line or plane. Collinear points are points that lie on the same line. Coplanar points are points that lie on the same plane. Look at example 1 on page 10 to get familiar with these terms. Another undefined concept that must be understood is the idea that a point on a line is between two other points on the same line. For instance, in example 1, point E is between points D and F on line DF. However, point G is not between points D and F. A line segment, or segment, consists of two endpoints, and all the points between them. Think of a segment as a line that terminates at both ends, kind of like the way you normally think of a line. A ray consists of an initial point, and all the points that lie beyond it, kind of like a ray of light from the sun. You can think of the sun as the initial point, and the beam of light contains all the points beyond the initial point. Opposite rays have the same initial point, but extend in opposite directions. It is extremely important to learn the symbols for lines, segments, and rays. This is discussed on page 11, and it is also discussed in depth with several examples in your class notes. Examples 2 and 3 on page 11 will help familiarize you with these various concepts. In geometry, we say that two or more figures intersect if they have one or more points in common. The intersection of two or more figures is the set of points that the figures have in common. Example 4 on page 12 will help you visualize intersections of the various figures we have discussed so far. This concludes our lesson on points, lines, and planes. You should now have an understanding of the basic undefined and defined terms of geometry, and be able to sketch and describe various intersections. The important definitions in this section are undefined terms, point, line, plane, collinear points, coplanar points, segment, ray, opposite rays, and intersection. For homework, the CP class should do page 13, problems 9 through 67, every other odd, and 73, 74, and 75. The honors class should do page 13, 10 through 76 even. See you next time.